What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. This is Cam with Stoic Soldier. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Hope everyone's having a fantastic day. Happy Monday. Hope you guys are having a great day and a great start to the week. Hope that things are going well for everybody. As promised, as I said in the past, I know I've been lagging for quite a while, given that there was kind of a little bit of chaos in the fluctuation with my work schedule, what have you. But as I promised, I am going to be making up for that tenfold in future videos starting now in 2026 and just cranking out as much as possible. As I promised in the past, at least one video a week, if not more. And then especially on the weeks that I miss, you better believe that I'm going to be cranking out just as much, twice if not three times as many, and just staying committed to myself and to my goals, as I know and hope that every single one of you are with whatever you guys want to accomplish. Anyway, without further ado, let's get right into the video today. Now, I'm sure we've all heard this expression before. Work smarter, not harder. Now, easier said than done, of course. I know that we've all been guilty of it. I myself have been guilty of it. We've all done it in the past. We're human. We make mistakes. It's okay. It is perfectly all right to make mistakes. You are learning through every experience. As long as you're not continuously doing it voluntarily, consciously, it's okay. So don't beat yourself up for it. So now, breaking down that expression. So I'm pretty sure that we know, well, for one thing, let's break down what it means working smarter rather than harder. That doesn't mean that we're lazy. That doesn't mean that we don't do anything. But at the same time, simply just hauling ass and running yourself into the ground, balls to the wall with whatever you're trying to do, that's not always an efficient way. If anything, it's more counterproductive than anything. So even though by all means you do want to give effort in what you're doing, there still has to be proper methods. You need to have the right technique. You need to have the right skill set. You need to have the correct trajectory with wherever you're going. Let's say, for example, you're in medical school or you're in law school. You're reaching the end of the semester. You've been spending several nights every single week the entire time, cranking out 10 to 12 hours of not just the actual task assignments, but also studying and going over information time and time again, to the point where you're literally staying up till anywhere between 2 and 4 in the morning, which I have done when I was in school, unfortunately. Again, we've all made mistakes. And then having to wake up the next day at 6, 7 o'clock, running on only 2, 3 hours of sleep. How efficient do you think that's going to be when the final exam comes? Now, you have to remember, the brain is just another muscle. And when you overwork a muscle, what happens? It ends up getting weaker over time. And more importantly, there's proof behind it showing that the hypothalamus, the part of the brain that retains information, it starts to shrink. It starts to get weak. You'll actually stop retaining information like that. And then on top of that, believe it or not, I've experienced this myself. For those brief times where I was just overworked and overstressed, you'll actually start losing information that you thought you had stored before. That information that you thought was just completely unlocked and you'd never forget, that's going to start to dissipate from your memory as well. And you're going to feel like you're literally losing your mind. So at the end of the day, even though, yes, you do need to commit to what you're doing and you need to go for it, it also needs to be done with due diligence. Okay? Another example, just like I talked about the brain being a muscle, that specifically, when you go to the gym, let's say you're just working your arms all day, you're just working your legs. If you neglect everything else, for one thing, your body's going to be disproportionate. And then secondly, that one part that you're constantly working every single day, what's going to happen is just going to get exhausted. You're working legs all the time, you're not going to be able to walk. You're just working arms all the time, your hands are going to be sore. Your arms are constantly going to feel like they're going to fall off. Let's say you do some kind of physical labor for work. Anytime you try to lift something up, what's going to happen? You're not going to be able to function throughout the day, especially if, God forbid, you're delivering packages. So everything in moderation, and then everything needs to be done efficiently. So yes, again, don't be lazy. Commit to what you want to do, but make sure you're doing the right things. Make sure that what you're doing is working. And a really easy way to test and to measure that is just looking at little short-term results. So let's say that you're investing in a bank, for example. Before you want to go investing that big 100K, start with something simple. Start with something at a 3-4% interest rate. Start with maybe $1,000. Start with maybe a couple thousand. If you see that you're getting a return with that minimal amount, and that 1 or 2 thousand is just a drop in the bucket, and you think that if you feel that it's not really going to be much of a loss to you if you end up losing it, maybe start with that. And then if you start to see a little bit of return, then you see results once you've experimented. Now you can say to yourself, okay, we can up the ante a little bit. Now let's go a little bit more. Same thing again when you're at the gym. Start with the simple 5-pounders, the ones that you can even see little kids carrying. If you see them doing it, you know for a fact, I can handle that. So you start with that. You get more comfortable. You pick up the 10s and the 15s and the 20s, so on and so forth. It's just like exposure therapy. This is what psychologists say is the number one way to get past your fears. And you apply that same methodology to gradually trusting yourself with whatever process that you're currently going through, and building up that momentum and building up that confidence. You're going to see a lot more, not just long-term results, but also stable results. And you don't have to question and second guess yourself as much. Doing everything in increments is really going to be the key to your success. And then seeing those minimal results are going to start building up your confidence. You have to think, when you're building a house, for example, it's not one giant brick. What do they always say? Build it brick by brick. You start with the bottom. You start with, the corners. You build it up as you go along. You build the solid base first. Once you feel that it can carry the weight of 3 or 4 men, then you can start building another story, and then so on and so forth. And then you can start adding the walls. You can start adding the roof. You start adding furniture, seeing if it can hold. You test it out, making sure that it's waterproof or resistant. So again, start incrementally, bite-sized pieces. Simple as that. So if you just know that you could commit to that without straining yourself, but you know that you could stay consistent with it, that's what's going to make all the difference in the world. So going back to the medical school example, if you can, depending on what the course is asking of you, if you can do at least maybe an hour or two of consistent review of the course, of what you guys were going over, and then taking maybe a 5-minute break in between, or even a 10-minute break, whatever you need. Even if you start with a half-hour break, slowly decrease that as you go. Say, okay, I really need to take this half-hour break. Cool. And then next time, or even the next day, you take it down a notch. You can go 25 minutes. You can go 20 minutes, and then gradually and gradually and gradually until it feels comfortable for you, to the point where you don't feel like you are resisting so much. You don't feel like you're having to fight so hard and so desperately. So utilize this mentality as a means of simplifying your success, as a means of simplifying your trajectory to your success. As they always say, all the greatest thinkers, most successful people in the world, they use the most simplistic methods possible. It's not always easy, but you can understand it. It takes work, yes, but with whatever work that you put in, it's a solid investment. Whatever you give, you're ultimately going to be getting. You're not going to slave and slave and slave and then just end up with little scraps in return. That's what's going to ultimately kill your confidence. And then you're going to start thinking the wrong thing to yourself, as I have, that now I got to work 10 times harder, which is exactly what you don't want to do. So if anything, that is not only going to get you more results, but when you think that just because you're being a workhorse, you're going to get more respect, you're going to get more acknowledgement from people, that's wrong. Because that's not always going to get you the results. That's what people look at. Results are going to be everything. So if you combine that hard work with the right approach in whatever you decide to do, that's going to get you the confidence that you need, as well as the acknowledgement that you're looking for. Not that you need it, but people are going to have a lot more respect for that, knowing that you are being diligent and still taking care of yourself, and not just going out of your way, hauling ass to try to look for some kind of validation from people. Cool. Anyway, guys, that's all the time that we have for today. I hope that was helpful for you. For those of you guys, again, who have been a part of my channel, thank you guys so much for your support. I really do appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. And those of you who are new, welcome. And I would love it if at any point you would drop a like and subscribe. And again, if there are any more topics that you guys want me to cover at some point in the future, I'm more than open to those suggestions. Go ahead and leave them in the comment section, and we'll see what we can do from there. Cool. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your week. I will see you guys in a few days. Stoic Soldier out.